And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another wonderful day here at IndiasMafia's channel. I will make this quick and brief to get to the marvelous voice of Patrick Stewart and get rid of my not nearly as attractive voice. Just want to let you know that I did record this with my phone because there was no recording in the auditorium, video or audio, so shh, don't tell anybody. This so far is the only video of 2013's MegaCon that I've been able to find, so I tried to make it as entertaining and not half-assed as possible by putting in pictures and assortments of picture jokes that hopefully you guys enjoy. Please forgive me for the poor quality. I have tried to edit it best I can, but it's in such a weird format that it's impossible past my laziness. Okay, enjoy, and to the audio.
2 weeks ago, I was in Seattle, and I went up on stage and I said, "It's so great to be back in Canada again." Didn't go over too well, except that there was a big, large Canadian contingent in the audience because they just live up the road. And I found out there was a Canadian contingent when I said, "Oh, of course I'm not in Canada, you're all alive." Well, I like to try out new material. I like to live a little dangerously. So in the first 2 minutes of my address, I managed to insult an entire nation.
Attaboy!
But I made it up to them. I made it up to them in the following way. I agreed that I would film the next X-Men movie in Montreal. Because we were going to do it in London, the X-Men movie. But I used my influence, which is not inconsiderable, and I got it moved. And so not only did I attract the gratitude of all those audience members. Oh yes, you like that, don't you? Yeah. Just the mention of the name Hugh Jackman and everybody's wild with delight. Well, he deserves it because he's a lovely man and a wonderful actor. And that's it. I can't go any further than that because I don't know what other names of actors in X-Men.
Halle Berry, sir, Patrick.
Well, you tell me that. Halle hasn't called me yet to say she's coming, and she usually does. So, I know Ian's going to be there, I know Hugh's going to be there. Maybe it's just going to be a Magneto, Xavier, Wolverine movie. Now, you guys would pay to see that, wouldn't you? That's not a bad idea. Wolverine, Magneto, and Xavier take on the world. Hugh could sing, and Ian could recite Shakespeare, and I would do a little dance, and the world would just give in. But maybe that wouldn't be much of a movie. I think I'll settle for the possibility of Halle being there in Montreal. So anyway, that's my next job. Starts in about 3 weeks. And of course, you probably all know who else will be in Montreal on that project. That will be our wonderful, brilliant, original director, Brian Singer. And almost more than anything else, it suggests we're going to have a terrific movie. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to spending 4 to 6 weeks in Montreal. I'm hoping that my comments about Canada didn't count in Quebec, because it's kind of not Canadian anyway, is it? Or am I getting to dangerous territory again here with this? Because they speak French. Oui, merci. Vive le Québec libre. As a famous Frenchman once said, Charles de Gaulle, I think, was Charles de Gaulle?
This side, Sir Patrick, to your right side.
Is Charles de Gaulle here?
No, right here.
I hope my question is original. Yesterday I was at a panel with your son, and we asked him how it was working with you. And I wanted to get your side, how was it for you working with your son?
My son is here? Why didn't anybody tell me? He's here? You mean the big tall guy? And what did he say?
I don't want to repeat that. I want your opinion. How was it?
Were you all there at this panel? And was he alone?
No.
Who was he with?
Marina and Gates and
Marina and Gates.
Q.
John Delancey. Wow. Well, that's fun. Why isn't he up here with me right now? We're good together. We are a great double act. You don't know. You can't explain it. What was it like working with my son? Well, we've worked together several times in different formats. Of course, most famously, we worked together when Daniel was in that wonderful episode, Inner Light, and he played my son in that movie. But also, we worked together, and I've got a feeling Dan might have talked about this, when Dan was doing his O-levels and A-levels English in his school in London, we would work together on texts on Shakespeare and so forth. So that was a kind of collaboration. And then when I was preparing to take my solo show of Christmas Carol to Broadway, I asked Daniel if he would direct me. And so for several days, he and I were locked in a rehearsal room. And actually, it was not a rehearsal room, it was the biggest sound stage at Paramount. Paramount let me use it for a few days because it wasn't in use. And it's like 3 times the size of this hall. And we worked in there, and he was terrific, gave me a lot of help. So I have a feeling he didn't say nice things about me, but I have only nice things to say about him. He owes me money. But no, he doesn't owe me money. He owes me nothing. And in fact, he and his family have lived with me, not exactly under the same roof, but on my property in England for the last 2 years. And it's been the most wonderful 2 years of my life, having them so close, and his wife and my grandchildren. It's been amazing, but now they have moved on to pastures new. But luckily the pastures new are only 4 miles away. And okay, well, it seems the question portion of this has started. I wasn't ready for it to start because I have a lot more material that I was going to work through, but it seems that my arm has been twisted and I'm going to shut up now and hand it over to you.
Regarding your roles in movies and TV, do you prefer historicals and Shakespearean or sci-fi fantasies?
I said new original questions. Never been asked before.
Okay. Did you like being in Macbeth?
Don't sulk. Just there you go. That's nice. Smiling. Ask me the question again.
Regarding your roles regarding your roles on TV and movies, do you prefer historical and Shakespearean roles or sci-fi and fantasies?
Well, I love doing some historical roles, things like Lady Jane, and Excalibur. And I love, of course, doing some of the classic performances too. But I am currently really eager to find contemporary work. And in the second half of last year, I made 2 movies, both of them contemporary. One of them is an Israeli movie, which we filmed in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. A movie in Hebrew, except for my character who spoke English, fortunately, as my grasp of Hebrew is slight. And I worked with 2 of Israel's most famous and most distinguished actors, Sasson Gabay and Moni Monoshev, and it was an amazing experience, and that's a contemporary movie about a bank robbery. It's a comedy, by the way. Well, it's a kind of dark comedy. And I had the most wonderful time working in Israel. I loved being there. It was in every sense really challenging at times, but also very rewarding. And I learned a great deal while I was there. Then in November, December, in Brooklyn, New York, New York is where I live. It was 10 minutes drive from my home to the location in Crown Heights. I finished a movie for which I'm doing reshoots tomorrow in Brooklyn, so I have to get away from Florida and back to New York for a 6 a.m. pick tomorrow morning. I can't listen, I'm talking. And you're trying to interrupt me. This is not going well at all. I mean, that's the second time. So I've done 2 contemporary movies. The one in New York is based on a Broadway play called Match, and it was adapted for the screen and directed by the author, Stephen Belber, and I saw it for the first time last week, and it's really quite good. And it has 2 fabulous American actors in it, Matthew Lillard, and isn't he great? And the beautiful and incredibly talented Carla Gugino, who plays Matthew's wife. And so I hope you will have a chance to see both those movies. The Brooklyn movie is called Match, and the Israeli movie is called Hunting Elephants. Now, there's no hunting in the movie, and there are no elephants. It's a kind of analogy. Now, what do you want to say? It better be original.
I already said it.
Are you regretting that you came now? Because I don't want you to. I want you to feel good about having been here. Give her a hand, because she's been here. Come on, get over there. Go on, Sam. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much. I was wondering, when you were on the set of Nemesis, that when you had the chance to work with this skinny British guy, that you realized that Tom Hardy would blow up into the actor that he is now, I guess in more ways than one.
No. Well, you know, this business is a lottery. You see people who are good and you hope and wish the best for them. But Tom's career is extraordinary. Tom is a star. And I'm very, very happy for him. And I have not seen Tom Hardy since he left the set of Nemesis. How long ago was that? I don't know. Long time. But he's doing brilliantly, and I'm very happy for him. Thank you. Come on, you've got to get over there really quickly, because time is passing. Hi.
Hello. As far as you being Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek Enterprise, oh my god. And the next generation on Star
No, come on.
I know.
Give him a break.
Anyway, and
Start again.
alright. As far as how you would deal with Q, if Jean-Luc Picard had the powers of Xavier, how would you even deal with Q?
If Jean-Luc Picard had the powers of Charles Xavier,
Yes.
how would he deal with Q? Well, I mean, it would all hinge on if we consider Q to be a mutant. What do you think? It's possible, isn't it? I mean, Q has powers, and there might be mutant powers. So I would hope to win him over to the bright side with sensible talk and bottles of excellent red wine. Thank you. Yes! Wow, right there. Hello.
Hi. So the love interest between you and Beverly Crusher started in the first season. Why then, when you got too attached in the 7th season, did you leave it the way that you did? And I blame Jonathan Frakes because he directed that episode. But why was it decided to leave the love interest alone until All Good Things?
You know, one thing is really important that you understand is that you're asking me about things that happened 20 years ago. And I struggle to remember breakfast time today. True, I do. You know? Well, these things don't happen by accident. It was planned. I don't know! It wasn't my fault. I just learned my lines and hit the marks. I blame Jonathan Frakes for a lot of things. But I don't think I blame him for that. No, I mean, it made you unhappy, clearly. Get over it! Look, Gates McFadden and Patrick Stewart are great friends. Isn't that enough for you? No? Yeah. Wow. Well, I can only quote my distinguished predecessor and say, get a life. Right side. I'm trying out, by the way, I've got some new boots on. D-Bar M, Reno, Nevada. A man's state, Nevada. What do you want?
I'm well, they're very nice. Yeah, I like them. I'm a Latin teacher, and every year I show my students episodes of the great miniseries I, Claudius, and I don't know if you have any questions on that. But I just wanted to know what was it like working with such a good assortment of actors? Was that kind of a really big break for you? Did that kind of launch your career a little bit more in the UK? And did you know it would go on to be so successful and well known as a miniseries?
I, Claudius? Okay, that was 40 years ago.
37, but yeah, you're right.
It was the first most important role that I'd ever had on television. And I was very excited to be cast in it because many of those actors were heroes and role models of mine, and one of them was an actor that I had known since I was 12 years old, and we kind of grew up together and did our amateur acting together and went out on dates together and went to the movies and did impersonations of Laurence Olivier, and that was Brian Blessed. and he is still a dear and much-loved friend. So it was a fantastic experience. None of us knew that we were making, as you never do, an iconic series. I was only in 4 episodes, and I ended pretty nastily. But from time to time, I run into some people. You know, John Rhys Davis was in that, and from the Indiana Jones movie, and it was all in all a really grand experience, and it holds up really well. I saw bits of it recently, and it was a kind of breakthrough for me. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. It's okay. Go on. You're not in any danger at all.
So you say. Anyway, my question for you is, do you see yourself playing the next Doctor Who?
What is this Doctor Who thing? I don't get it. I swear to you, every third person that comes to the table to sign asks me about Doctor Who. I mean, Doctor Who has been around it feels like it, all of my career. I remember the first Doctor Who and watched it with my kids. You've got to wait to be asked. And the present Doctor Who is doing a great job, so why would they want to replace it? It's not a good enough reason. No, it's not. Well, of course they would. Because they're besotted with me. And they're not besotted with the present Doctor Who. But he's doing a great job, and I see no reason why we should undermine him by suggesting that I should take over from him. I mean, would I like to work in the UK? You bet, yeah. And it's a great, great show, and it's gone through such an extraordinary transformation over the years. And of course, I did work a few years ago with the wonderful David, what's his name? Tennant, David Tennant, yeah. I knew that. I was just testing you. Anyway, thanks. Can we just kind of leave the Doctor Who thing aside? It's like half the world had me in the most recent Die Hard movie. My publicist actually got a call from a journalist wanting to interview me about it. I don't recall being in the last Die Hard movie. It's the kind of thing you would remember, isn't it? Thank you. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. So after the panel yesterday with your son, and I'm sorry to bring this back, but you kind of left with more questions than answers. He mentioned that you actually gave notes on his wedding vows, and I was kind of interested on if you can remember what exactly you told him after his wedding.
Who said that? Who said that? He said that. Thank you. It's very possible we may have had that conversation. I remember his wedding day vividly. Vividly, it was a fabulous day. I'm crazy about Dan's wife and his family. They're wonderful people. And if I did make any contribution to his wedding vows, it was completely unnecessary because they're doing so fabulously. But thank you. I'll have a word with my son. Thank you.
Hi, Mr. Stewart. Nice
Hi.
to meet you. I actually have a question about what was it like to go from such serious roles like Jean Picard and Ebenezer Scrooge to really, really raunchy comedy like Seth MacFarlane and American Dad and Ted. What was that
Well, you know, all my life I had had this urge, this instinct to do comedy. But despite the fact that for several years I was with the Royal Shakespeare Company, first choice low comic. And I played roles like Launce and Touchstone and Grumio, the knockabout sort of clowns of Shakespeare. And I really enjoyed it, but I was not very good at it. And then I just get cast in a lot of, you know, things, plays, movies playing neurotics and mass murderers and scary people. And then it shifted over into these leaders, these, you know, powerful individuals who have a lot of responsibilities. And then I got a call from Frasier, and they invited me to do one episode of that, and I loved it. I really, really enjoyed taking a different approach to my work. Then one day, soon after that, I got a call from Seth MacFarlane, who I already knew because I'd been watching Family Guy and thinking that it was brilliant, and asking me if I'd be in his series. And we're now in our 8th season of American Dad, and it's so much fun. You can only imagine how much fun we have. Of course, it's just me and a microphone, and usually I'm in London, or occasionally New York, and they're in LA. And 2 or 3 times I've got to the studios in LA and recorded there. And I get such a kick out of Family Guy. My character is fabulous and ghastly at the same time. Yeah. And soon, not long after that, I was in the market one day, doing a little bit of grocery shopping, and my phone rang, and a voice said, "Oh, hi, Patrick, this is Ricky Gervais." And I said, "Oh, yeah, come on," because I have a friend who does impersonations, really good impersonations. And he said, no, it really is Ricky Gervais. And I'm doing this show called Extras. I don't know if you've heard about it, but I wanted to. So there I was doing comedy with Ricky Gervais and having the time of my life. That morning's work in which we shot the clothes falling off scene was, I mean, almost more fun than anything I've ever done. So then, what else? I mean, I did this thing for the Olympics, you know, I don't know whether you saw it, Funny or Die, the Olympics ticket scalper. And then in January, I was invited by the fabulous American soprano Rennie Fleming to co-host an event with Chicago's Second City and the Lyric Opera of Chicago, and worked with comedy writers, and there I met a couple of guys who are in Second City but also work in a group called Improvised Shakespeare. And as a result of what we did in Chicago, they invited me the next week to appear with them in New York, not on Broadway, but in New York, and with that company of 5 actors. And I think the only time they've ever had a guest, an untrained guest artist appearing, I did an evening of improvised Shakespeare with them. And again, I loved it. So I am looking to humor and comedy more and more and more. And you know, years ago, I remember hearing Laurence Olivier being interviewed, and he said, yes, it's marvelous to hear an audience sob, but it's so much nicer to hear them laugh. And I feel that that's maybe the direction my life might be going in. Thank you. I know who you are. Tell them who you are.
Spider Jerusalem.
If you don't know who Spider Jerusalem is, shame on you. And get online and find out, because this is an incredible creation by Warren Ellis, Englishman. And you look great. You look really great.
A lot of us here know that you're a huge Transmetropolitan fans, me as well. And I heard on the internet that you make a great Spider. I was wondering what your favorite parts were, and if you could give us a couple of your favorite quotes.
I really have been blessed with so many wonderful roles in my life. Some I've looked for, others I haven't. And, you know, I really hope that my production company, we tried so hard to get Spider onto the screen, and we just couldn't do it. Somebody will, and it won't be me by then because I'm too old. Maybe it'll be you. And okay, I should tattoo it on your chest. Favorite quotes? Well, it's almost, actually, I will quote to you from a play I am going to do this year. It's a line so important and significant, and it comes early on in this play, a play called No Man's Land by Harold Pinter. Great, great play. And my character says to another man he's sharing a scene with, this other character in the scene will be played by Ian McKellen. And I say to him, tonight you find me on the last lap of a race I had long forgotten to run. It gives me goosebumps, and gives me goosebumps so much I've got a horrible feeling that when that moment comes up in the play I may not be able to say it. But I would like to say perhaps, and just a few lines of this because I can. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Thank you. So, just before you ask your question, sir, just let me briefly tell you about this project I'm doing with Ian McKellen. We are going to do 2 plays on Broadway. Sam Beckett's great masterpiece, Waiting for Godot, or Godot, as we say in England, and some people say it is the most important play of the 20th century. And we are also doing Harold Pinter's No Man's Land, and we're going to be doing them, you know, in repertory, in a Broadway theatre, the name of which I don't know yet. And we will be joined by 2 brilliant American actors, because both plays have 4 male roles. Sorry, actresses in the company, there's nothing for you this time. 4 male roles, and the 4 of us will play 4 roles in the 2 plays. And we are very excited about it. Of course, Syrian and I will be spending a chunk of time together over the next few weeks while we shoot X-Men. And then we'll be getting ready to start rehearsals for New York. So from mid-October of this year, if you find yourself in New York, you know what to do. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to find out, I was at the Friday panel with LeVar and Michael Dorn and Brent and, and Denise, right? And one of the things that came up with, one of the things we're talking about is that from time to time, especially in the series, as long run as 7 years like you had some very brilliant and dramatic and great episodes that you want to go into, that you really are prepared to go and you have a great time of it. But then there's those who come in and you have one of those episodes that are trying to figure out, where did they come up with this? How do you handle the work in that particular type of episode where you have to go with it even though you pretty well know it's a stinker?
We had a couple of stinkers. In exactly the same way, nothing changes. The work that you do in front of the camera has to be consistently serious and committed. And you hope that if something isn't that good, you might make it better. And of course it's so much more fun to be doing something really clever and smart and original, and I've been lucky in a lot of my career that I've had roles of that kind. But we do not take a lesser piece of work any less seriously than a better piece of work. I promise you that. Thank you.
So at the panel yesterday, they asked about the weirdest thing that a fan had done. And I've heard that question a lot, but I think something that would be more helpful to a lot of us is there a way for a fan to be memorable to you, but in a positive way?
Well, most encounters with fans are positive. Only now and again do they become irritating or unnerving or just downright scary. Only occasionally. But if I can give you a piece of advice, all I can say is keep the contact brief, to the point, and if possible, complimentary. Occasionally people will say, that was great, I didn't like you in that, because I didn't think that was very good. And I've had people stop me in order to criticize something I've done. Well, I understand, but better to keep it to yourself, I think, that kind of thing. And mostly the encounters that we have are very, very positive. Don't speak to me if I'm reading a newspaper. Don't speak to me if I'm in the middle of eating. Don't speak to me if I'm alone with a lovely female. Don't speak to me if I'm alone with a lovely man. What else? That's about covers it, actually. And don't yell at me across the street, because that attracts attention. Okay? Thank you very much. Love the kilt, sir.
It's very comfortable.
Love it, love it, love it.
Sir Patrick, Star Trek introduced me to Shakespeare. I'm a Shakespeare fan, and I think you might have answered my question, what's your favorite line or Shakespeare play? And if you wouldn't mind reciting any part of the Ashen Horse.
Well, I don't have a favorite play. I love so many of Shakespeare's plays for so many different reasons. And there is such a huge range and variety of writing in his 37 plays. I've loved so many of the characters in Shakespeare that I've played, some of them relatively small and insignificant. And lines, oh Lord, there are so many. I know a bank where the wild thyme blows, where oxlips and the nodding violet grows, quite over-canopied with luscious woodbine, with sweet musk roses and with eglantine. There sleeps Titania sometime of the night, lulled in these flowers with dances and delight. And there the snake wraps his enameled skin weed wide enough to wrap a fairy in. And with the juice of this, I'll streak her eyes and make her full of hateful fantasies. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stewart, you've been a starship captain, you were a king in the video game Oblivion, you play a federal agent in American Dad. Would you ever consider voicing a character for My Little Pony?
Well, it's very easy. Yes, absolutely I would. And I had a conversation last night. Well, I listened to John Delancey telling me a lot about the work that he's been doing in that area, and I was fascinated. Yep, of course. Well, yeah. Hi.
How are you?
Hi, you got a yellow thing on your head.
I knew I made it.
You knew?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I was just wondering, because I grew up with X-Men and it was pretty much, I was obsessed and I loved it. But getting older, I got really disappointed that you never sent me my mutant acceptance letter. So I was wondering if you had it with you now.
I didn't understand the last few words.
You
wondered if...
You had my mutant acceptance letter to your school.
Yeah, you know, we've had a lot of administrative problems recently. I can only apologize for any delay, but I will look into... What is your name?
Natasha.
Natasha, I will look into your case as soon as I have an opportunity. However, I can tell you that when I get to Montreal, we have a lot of major problems to deal with. And it could be that your letter will not be resolved for several decades.
Is there some way you can make it up to me?
Am I going to make it up to you? What does she mean? I have just made it up to you. Hey, so that's it. Listen, this has been really, really fun. I guess that my time in Orlando, well, I've got about another 90 minutes, and then it's off to the airport. Is winding up. It's been delightful to be here. Yes, of course, I knew Dan and his family were in Orlando, and I have spent some time with them away from here, and that's been fabulous. And I'm so glad that those of you who were here enjoyed Dan on the stage yesterday. I look forward to coming back at the earliest possible convenience. I hope you get a chance to see some of the things that I've done that I mentioned, and some of the things coming up in the future. And of course, I especially mean the two plays that Ian and myself will be doing in New York later. Be well, be happy, and be safe.